Hello. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the decisions that are costing you your progress. So there are a lot of different habits that people do, and a lot of different habits that are affecting people from getting to where they want to be. And a lot of the time, these are like mindless habits you don't necessarily realize you're doing until after you've done them. So, if you feel like you're eating pretty well, but you're not seeing the results that you're expecting to see, or perhaps you've been like the results have started slowing down over summer, you're doing really well before summer, and then you've got to summer and things have started slowing down a little bit. You've been enjoying your days out, you've been enjoying your barbecues, but you're kind of struggling to find that bit of balance. And maybe you don't want to miss out, but also at the same time, you don't want to undo the hard work and you want to get back on track. Sorry, I've got a stroke of sun in my eyes. You want to get back on track and you want to gain results this summer. We're going to run through some of the decisions that you can make that are going to help have impact over summer. So, death by 100 decisions. Most people don't gain weight because of one big meal. It's not one big meal that's going to cause you the problems. It's going to be the tiny little decisions that you make on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, that are going to affect you. So every day you're making so many different decisions around food, whether to exercise, what you're going to consume, what you're going to drink, and even down to little things like what dressings are you going to have on your salads, or um, could you just have one more handful or just a little bit more rice? Or should I finish the kids' leftovers? Or there's some pasta in there. Oh, that's the kids' leftover pasta. I might just have a little bit of that. I'm a bit hungry. Should I have another sausage or should I opt for a burger? It's like on a barbecue. It's like, should I have an ice cream? Everyone else is having ice cream. What's one ice cream? And it's just all these little decisions that you make throughout the day that you might not even notice that you're necessarily making. And sometimes these can snowball. They seem very insignificant at the time, but together, these little decisions can add up to those hundreds of calories that are going to take you into a maintenance of calories or a surplus. So, a lot of the times, there are hidden calories and we don't even see them. We don't even recognize they're there unless we are completely mindful of them. So, things like dressings on salads, we think of a salad being relatively healthy, really good for us. But then it depends what dressing it's got on. Has it got like a creamy dressing on it, or has it got a vinaigrette? When you're eating a barbecue, are you going to opt for sausages, or are you going to opt for things like chicken skewers? Are you going to go for like if you go for a drink, are you going to have like a full fat drink, or are you going to have a diet one? It's lots of these different things and how you tweak your day that are going to affect whether or not you stay in a calorie deficit, or you hit maintenance, or you go into a surplus. Little things like a potato salad versus just having new potatoes. All these different things, there are lots of different swaps that are available that can help you stay on track and help you to stay within your calorie deficit with still enjoying the food you're eating and without missing out on things. So a lot of the time the decisions we make are mindless. We're tired. When the tiredness creeps in, that's when the decisions start to kind of occur. So the calories, these are the calories people rarely count. So the biggest thing is picking when you're eating, picking when you're cooking, sorry. So like when you're chopping up food, you might just think, oh, chopping up some carrots, I'll just have one bit of carrot here, one bit of carrot there. Perhaps you're having like a glass of wine and you've got some crisps on the side, just having a few crisps. You recognize in the glass of wine you're going to count, but then you forget about the crisps that you're eating. When you're at a barbecue, lots of like, I hate the word nibbles, but like lots of nibble bits out. And you just have like, oh, just have a couple of crisps, a couple of olives, a couple of bits here and there. Those things add up so quickly. Finishing your kids' dinner, that is a really common one, especially for mums. So we don't like waste. I get it. You don't like waste, but at the same time, you don't need to fuel off your children's food. A lot of the time, it's not even necessarily food that we would maybe be consuming or choosing to eat ourselves for dinner. You'll find yourself snacking just because the food's on the table. Your kids have asked for a snack. Your kid's got a packet of crisps in your hand. You're like, oh, just have a couple of those. It's these mindless decisions that all tumble, they snowball, and they make it into a lot greater calorie count. Your evening snacking, when you've finished your dinner, if you eat with the kids and you're eating at like 5, 6 o'clock, that means So you've got a whole evening to potentially snack. Whereas if you have your dinner that little bit later, you've got you've got like an anchor point later in the evening. So evening snacking can be a massive one. And then that need for chocolate after dinner. You want to sit down on the sofa and you start associating eating a snack, comfort eating, something sweet after dinner. These are all patterns, mindless routines that we fall into. So I wonder, I'd ask yourself this, how many times this week would you say you've done one or multiple of these? I'm going to run through most common, um, most common mindless eating things that we face on a day-to-day basis. So the most common one that I have women talk to me about is evening snacking. You finish your dinner, but you keep going back for a snack. Whether that is going back for, let's say, could even be a second portion of your dinner. But once you finish your dinner, you then want something sweet. You then go and sit on the sofa, that moment that you get to wind down. You've had a busy day, you've been working all day, you've been looking after the kids, you finally got your kids to bed, maybe you've had your dinner then, and then you go and sit on the sofa for a very short, brief amount of time to watch a bit of TV, to wind down, and that's when you think, I want something sweet. Those calories that you consume from snacking in the evening are often the thing that's going to tip you out of your deficit. So, what I would recommend you doing to try and avoid eat having those snacks in the evening. Now, I'm not saying you can't snack in the evening, but what I mean is like if you are doing it every evening, this is when you're going to tip over into a calorie surplus. So you're going to be consuming more food than you are burning. And that's how we gain more weight. So, what I would recommend doing after your dinner, go and brush your teeth. That kind of tells your brain that you're finished for the day. You've finished eating, you're done. Second one, drink mint tea to replace that something sweet. That will often help because it kind of, once you've had that minty flavor, you don't necessarily feel the need to have the sugar side of things. Have something like a sparkling water ready to drink or when you relax. Create a new evening routine. A lot of the time it's habit. So we finish our dinner and then we go sit on the sofa. We've built up this habit and this mindset, and we associate sitting down, relaxing with eating something comfort food and with eating something sweet because we enjoy it and we enjoy that moment when we sit down. So for you to try and break that snacking, you need to try and break that routine. You need to come up with a new evening routine to break that snack, to break that habit. So, for example, finishing your dinner, maybe once the kids are in bed, instead of going straight and sitting down, having a walk around the block, 5 minute walk in the fresh air, 10 minute walk, maybe going up for a shower, maybe having half an hour to read a book, 15 minutes to read a book, maybe doing your skincare. It's just switching up that habit so you don't automatically go and sit down. This will tell your brain, like it will signal it that it's not time for a snack. And once we break that habit, we can then go on to once we realize the habit is broken, we can then go back into that sitting down watching TV without the need to keep snacking. If you want to have a treat, if you want to have something, then choose it intentionally, enjoy it, and sit down. Like you don't have to have, I would always say, like, if you want a pudding with your dinner, sit at the table and eat it. Because by you sitting at the table, that's telling your brain that this is still mealtime. If we start eating sweet stuff in front of the TV, then that opens the doors for our brain to think, do you know what? We can eat sweet stuff here. The other habit that I find is really common. This is one I'm actually really guilty of. So if I am making food, making dinner, chopping up, and I'll eat as I'm doing it. So particularly things like vegetables, I know there are a lot worse things to eat. But again, all these little things, they all add up. So it's that mindless picking while you're eating. So I would recommend having chewing gum, eating chewing gum while you're cooking, just to break the habit, because obviously while you're eating chewing gum, you're not going to want to eat other food. Second thing, have a drink to hand. So things like you have water, but also other things that are helpful, things like sparkling water or a squash or a tea, because they're things that you won't necessarily want to eat savory meal with, or savory food with at that time. And it just keeps your brain and your mouth occupied. Eating a planned protein snack before cooking. Do not, if you're cooking and you're making your dinner and you're so hungry, it's really hard to bypass that feeling of wanting to snack on like when you're chopping up food. So I'd always recommend if you get to that point in your day where you are insanely hungry, have a protein snack before you start cooking. Doesn't have to be anything big. It's just got to curb that feeling of hunger so that you can cook without snacking because you'll eat much fewer calories taking on that protein snack than you will mindlessly picking. And as soon as your kids have finished with their meals, take them to the bin, chuck them in the bin. I know it can seem wasteful. Maybe start giving your kids smaller portions. I know sometimes you don't know whether your kids are going to eat it or not. It's really hard to gauge. But keep eating your kids' leftovers is huge, especially when it's things like pastas, chips, maybe like fish fingers, anything like that. You're going to be consuming a much higher amount of calories than you would expect. And also avoid standing around the kitchen when the food's out because that just opens the gateway to us thinking, do you know what, we're going to eat more, we can eat more. It can be hard to stand around food when it's on the side without automatically mindlessly eating it. The next habit that I find a lot of women struggle with is eating really well in the day, then losing control in the evening. And this typically comes when people are staying really strict and regimented during the day with their diet, or maybe even eating a little bit too less and trying to be good. They're skipping meals, um, they're trying to save calories for their evening meal, but then they get to 7 o'clock and they're absolutely exhausted and you're starving. So you're gonna naturally you're gonna walk into the house or you're gonna go out for dinner and you're gonna be snacking on everything because your body's trying to play catch up. And your mindset is like, do you know what? I've been good all day. I've only eaten like 400 calories, so I've got a lot to eat in the evening. That tips you over because that sets you not only have you got the mindset of I've got a lot of calories to eat, but you've also got the mindset or you've got your actual the genuine feelings from your body of being tired and being hungry. And when we know when our body is tired, we naturally want to reach for more like carbohydrate heavy food. We want to reach for more snacky foods, things that are often sweeter that are going to give us that instant burst of energy. And again, that's when it's going to tip over as well. So what I would recommend doing is making sure you are eating throughout the day. So you're eating your main meals and then even adding on some bits, some snacks during. Just making sure you're eating high protein breakfast, high protein lunch, and then you have a high protein dinner as well, because the protein is going to be what's going to keep you fuller for longer and help curb that feeling of being really, really hungry. Don't cut out your meals to save your calories for the evening. Don't cut out your meals to save your calories for the event in the evening, for that dinner that you're going for. You're better off eating high protein food through the day, lots of fiber to keep that starvation, that feeling of being really hungry at bay. And you need to plan if you know that you get home from work and you are ravenously hungry, then plan to have a snack before you have your dinner. And if you plan it, one, you know how many calories it's going to be, and also you can account for it and you can make sure it's you eating the right food that's going to help you stay on track and focus towards your goals as well. Um, Another one, this is also a big one. The weekend starts Friday and it ends Sunday. So it's the weekend mindset. The going out for it's Friday night, I don't want to cook, having a takeaway. Saturday night drinks. It might even, if you work in the city, start on a Thursday night, going out for a few drinks on a Thursday. And then Friday night, you want a takeaway, or you're feeling a little bit off on a Friday because you had a few too many the night before. Then you get the Saturday, you go out for drinks, maybe you have a barbecue, maybe you meet up with some friends. And then the Sunday, oh, it's Sunday, it's a day to relax. We can have some treats on a Sunday. Or it's Sunday, let's rest and relax because it's a day of rest. So you don't get any movement in. If you are good Monday to Thursday and then the habit starts slipping Thursday night and then through Friday through to Sunday, you're off track and you think you're just going to start again on Monday, that is at least 3 out of 7 days of the week you are missing out on. And if in those days you are at best at calorie maintenance, you're you're gonna almost flip into a surplus and then you're going to be gaining weight. This is where you need to get in the mindset of if you're in a sustainable calorie deficit, you're only a few hundred calories lower than maintenance. It is so easy to tip those calories over. That's why we have to be so careful, so careful and so planned and organized with what we're eating so that we stay on track. And the weekends seem to be open the gateway to us eating what we want. So what I would say is when it gets to the weekends, first of all, alcohol, I've never tell people not to drink alcohol. I love a glass of wine. But it's not just the calories from the alcohol that can tip you over. It's often the things we might eat with it, whether it's a packet of crisps, whether it's some nuts, and then maybe we've had a few extra drinks and we're like, do you know what, sod it, we're just going to get a takeaway tonight. I can't be bothered to cook. And then that's when the fuck it mindset comes in. Next day, you might have had a few too many, you're not feeling your best. So instead of waking up and sticking to plan and eating your breakfast, your regular high protein breakfast that you were wanting, you might switch for something else that's going to curb more of the need to like hit your tiredness and make you feel more energized in that short period of time. So you're going to reach something that's, say, higher in carbs or higher in sugar as well. And after that, you kind of start falling off and you think, "Do you know what? Sorry, I'll just start again on Monday." And that is when the routine breaks. That's when it falls. So it's not just the calories you're consuming from alcohol, it's also the calories that you are consuming with it and after it too. So so when you go into the weekends, plan your meals. Plan what meals you are going to have. It doesn't have to be a completely accurate plan. You just need to know, like on a Friday night, we're going to have, I don't know, chicken stir fry for dinner. On a Saturday night, we're going to have whatever you're going to have. Making sure you know what roughly what you're having, and if you're going out, where you're going, have a look at the menu. Can you take a packed lunch with you? If you're going to like a child-friendly place, like what can you do to plan your food around your weekend? Because that will massively help. Keep your protein high for your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Aim for like 30 to 40 grams, 30 grams for breakfast, 30 to 40 grams for lunch, 30 to 40 grams for dinner, roughly. And then for your breakfast, try where you can to keep a normal breakfast. Something that you plan ahead and you think about having a high protein, stick to it where you can. Or alternatively, what we often do in our house is we'll have a different selection of breakfast for the weekend. So, like during the week, we might have Greek yogurt with protein powder. Then on the weekends, we have more like egg focused meals. We might have like scrambled egg or poached eggs. So you feel like you're having a weekend breakfast, but it's still high in protein. Make sure you've got your movement in during the weekend. If you don't have much movement in, I know weekends are for resting, but first of all, steps can energize you. They make you feel good. Doing your exercise is going to make you feel good, not just mentally, but also physically too. And getting that movement in is going to energize you. You can have time for rest, absolutely. I'd always recommend getting at least one workout in on the weekend and keeping your steps high where you can. And enjoy the meals you genuinely want to eat and that you genuinely want to enjoy. You don't have to eat food just because it's there. You don't have to eat food because everybody else is eating the food. If you go out and your kids want an ice cream, you don't have to have one too. It's about picking the things that you really want. So like if you do want that ice cream, bloody have it. Like enjoy it. Don't have the guilt with it. But if you don't, if you're sitting on the fence and it's like from an ice cream van and it's one of those Mr. Whippies and they're not necessarily like the best, but hang on, if like you'll have it anyway. Whereas if you go to the ice cream shop and there's that really delicious like pistachio gelato, yeah, I'm gonna fucking have that one. But I'm not gonna have that one because that for me is not it's not worth the calories. So it's about picking the ones that you genuinely want to have, not feeling the need to eat it all. So the big question is I would say to yourself is always ask yourself, are you actually hungry? Or is this just a habit that I'm falling into? And if you're hungry, eat something that fuels you. Don't snack on things. So, like, if you're genuinely hungry, eat a meal. Like, add another meal. If 3 meals isn't covering you well, add another small meal in. So, whether that be like poached eggs on toast or some form of cooked chicken on a rice cracker, plan for those meals instead of going and grabbing a packet of crisps. It not only will it fuel you, you'll also realize that it's probably a lot lower in calories than it would be if you were mindlessly grazing on other bits around your kitchen too. So it's going to help you stay focused. It's going to help you stay on track. And most importantly, it's going to make you feel so much better because how crap does it feel when you go off track and you didn't really want to, and then you're like, oh, fuck it, I've messed it up. That's almost like self-sabotage. You don't need to do that. If we can try and stay on track, it's going to help your mindset so much more, and it's going to build the momentum. It's going to build that consistency too. Um, the last question is also, is this habit? And if it is habit, change your routine. Recognize that it's habit and make tiny tweaks to change that routine. Like I say, even if it's just you, instead of going directly to the sofa, stepping out your front door, walking around the block, coming back in, it just resets that mindset and it will make you question the decisions you're making. So I've put together a few high impact swaps here. So I get asked a lot of the time what things to swap what for. So this time I've done it more summer focused. So for example, I'm happy to send this through to anyone. I also upload it onto YouTube as well. Um, so feel free to have a look through these. So instead of creamy mayo dressings, we've got going for opting for things like vinaigrettes, balsamic vinegars or glazes. Instead of things like pork sausages, a barbecue, opting or burgers, opting for chicken or pork skewers, things like crisps. If you want something to nibble on, again, the word nibble, um, opt for things like veggie sticks. I know it's not quite the same, but if you can have a dip with it, they can be quite nice too. Instead of having like ice cream every night, picking things like yogurt and berries or even frozen yogurt is always a great alternative. Sugary cocktails, spirit, diet mixer, CBD drink, alcohol-free drinks as well, always a winner. And think instead of things like creamy pasta salads, when there's an option to have a creamy version or a tomato version, pick the tomato-based version because it's going to likely be lower in, it's going to be lower in fat, it's going to be low in calories as well. So one or two smarter choices at each event or each day can make a huge difference over the summer. When you're fueling your plate, I say this a lot, but when you're planning your plate, keep half a plate for vegetables and salads, quarter of the plate protein, quarter of the plate carbs. Eat the foods that you really want to eat, not the food you think, oh, but you don't need to waste your calories on things to eat them just for the sake of eating it. And what I would ask yourself is, first of all, are you actually hungry? Do you really want to be eating it? How is it going to make you feel after you've eaten it? And will this help me feel good afterwards? Is it going to help you stay on track? Are you going to feel a bit crap afterwards? Is it going to affect your mindset? If the answer is yes, and you want to eat it, then enjoy it. Enjoy it guilt-free. If the answer is no, then question it. Like, do you really need to be having it? So summer dinner ideas. I have put here onto this document a load of different summer dinner ideas. So everything from grilled chicken Caesar salads with light dressings, Greek salads with feta and olives, through to mango, prawn salad, mango, salmon salads. So there's a range of different salads on there for ideas. We've also got as well different ideas for wraps and pitters that are quite summer focused and quite nice to have an evening, nice and light. Bowl meals, so like burrito bowls, healthier versions, Greek bowls, Asian chicken and rice bowls as well. And then your barbecue meals. So what to have as healthier alternatives. They're going to help you stay more on track. Also high protein focused as well, to help you stay on track too. So what I want you to do this week, I want you to start noticing your decisions, like challenge yourself to make just one better decision each day. So swap one drink. What is one drink in your day potentially that you could swap to be a bit healthier? What is one protein that you could opt for to make it leaner? Or what is one sauce on your, like one dressing on your salad you could change to make it healthier? Could you add extra protein to one of your meals? It's about making these little decisions repeatedly on day-to-day basis because they're going to make the big results. That is going to be what's going to change. The other one, the last one, is if you are struggling with staying on top of things, what I do is write down a note of everything you've eaten and leave it in a list in front of you. Particularly with things like it all started for me for like when you have a box of quality streets or something like that. Always leave your wrappers in front of you so you can see how many that you've had, and it reminds you if they're moved away, I've only had a couple, I'll have an extra one. Do the same with your food. So yes, it can seem messy, yes, it can seem lazy, but either leaving out, say like the plates that you've used, or leaving out like the wrappers of things that you've used, that can be really helpful. Or alternatively, um, writing down a little note if you don't want to leave things out, just so you can see exactly what is on there. So I hope that has been helpful. There's a lot of information to gain from there. If you have any good questions or you need anything from me, do not hesitate to get in contact. I'm always here to help you. Um, and yeah, if you need anything, give me a shout. Thank you so much.